Black Ops 6 tells a story based off of trust, that essentially we can trust no one, but at the same time we have to trust everyone who is close to us. And with it, it leads to many questions. As I've mentioned, Black Ops 6 has many unanswered questions, and today we are going to be addressing one of them, and it all has to do with characters. In Black Ops 6, we play as a ragtag group of assassins, of bomb makers, of injured soldiers, and mystery men, whether that be Russell Adler or Case. But what if I told you there is also a character who is never mentioned in Black Ops 6, never talked about, never seen, but is more important than any of those characters to the overall story? His character fits into the game perfectly in so many ways, and you may be thinking that that is the character who we see at the end of the campaign, the one who is inside Pantheon and inside the CIA, who is maybe Jackson Kane, who is maybe Case, or is maybe someone else altogether. But what I will tell you is no. That is not the character who I'm talking about, and this character may affect the Black Ops story more than you've ever known. And to make it even weirder, this character has never been in a Black Ops game, but he has been mentioned several times. And to understand this, we have to go back in time.
Wake up. Wake up.
Where am I?
The year is 1968, and we are going back to Black Ops 1. In this game, we play as Alex Mason. We wake up in a chair being interrogated. Why? Because we have numbers inside of our head. This is a very specific number sequence, and essentially what we find out throughout the Black Ops 1 campaign is that Alex Mason has been brainwashed by Russians. Numbers have been put into his head to create a sleeper agent. This is the entirety of the story of Call of Duty Black Ops 1. The entire time, Jason Hudson and Gregory Weaver are trying to decode these numbers inside his head to see what the Russians are planning, and as we find out, there are sleeper cells all over the United States that Russia has created, and we are trying to decode the numbers inside of Alex Mason's head to figure out what exactly is going on. Well, what we're talking about today essentially has nothing to do with that, but it does have to do with Black Ops 1, because you see, throughout the campaign, we find a ton of intel. Now, this intel is fascinating, and I could 100% probably do an hour-long video just on this intel alone. So if you have at all interest in that, hit that like button, let me know. That's for a separate day. However, some of this intel tells us very deep information about what is going on behind the scenes in Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Oddly, all the way back in Black Ops 1, but let me explain why. So, all of these pieces of intel go in depth in the various different characters throughout the game, whether that be Frank Woods, Alex Mason, even Victor Reznov, giving us background information and giving us more information on the missions that you go on as well. Now, who are these from and who are they to? So 95% of these are written to someone by the name of Richard Kane. He is the ADDA of the Special Activities Division, which is the division who Frank Woods, Jason Hudson, and even characters like Russell Adler later on are a part of. He is the Assistant Deputy Director of Operations for that division. Now, this is written by someone who is an analyst by the name of Ryan Jackson. Now, this part alone is already super weird. Why? Well, let's take a closer look at their names. We have Richard Kane and Ryan Jackson. Take those two names. Remember that character that we saw at the end of the Black Ops 6 campaign inside the CIA? Basically, there's two options as to who this is. It's either Case, or it is a character who is the leader of the Crimson One working inside the CIA, who we do see within the campaign. He shows up at the gala, and he is working with the CIA, but he's a member of Pantheon. And do you know what his name is? Jackson Kane. Ryan Jackson, Richard Kane, put them together. What do you get? You get Jackson Kane. We'll come back to that though. Now, going back to Ryan Jackson, when we look at his position on these papers, this is going to become very increasingly important. He is the APLAA. We know he's an analyst, but specifically of the Asian Pacific, Latin American, and African analysis team. Okay, we can kind of make sense of this. Maybe this has something to do with Raul Menendez, his location in the world, and how this plays into our characters within the CIA. But essentially, what we know throughout these files is that his specialty is learning about Frank Woods, Alex Mason, and all these clandestine operations they are going on. He's essentially their auditor. And believe it or not, they made an entire Call of Duty game about him. He was never in it, but he narrated it. That is Black Ops Declassified.
Special Agent Ryan Jackson, Office of the Inspector General, case number 290184, January 8, 1990. I've spent the better part of my career at the agency studying the lives of these men. First under former AD/SAD Richard Kane, and again, now with OIG. Mason, Woods, Hudson, Dragovich, Nova, Kennedy, Angola, Nicaragua, and now, thanks to recent events in Panama, the Senate subcommittee wants answers.
So this takes place in the year 1990, 1 year before the events of Call of Duty Black Ops 6. So to think that these two aren't interconnected would be delusional. However, Ryan Jackson's job is to look into Frank Woods, to look into Alex Mason and Jason Hudson to figure out what happened during the Panama invasion during Black Ops 2. And to find out why exactly all of this happened. Now, this game spans throughout the 70s and all the way into the 80s, going over several missions and declassified missions that these characters have been on. However, it ends like this.
Special Agent Ryan Jackson, OIG Investigators Log, case number 290184, January 12th, 1990. On orders from DCI Stansfield Turner, the inquiry into the career histories of Alex Mason, Frank Woods, and Jason Hudson is hereby suspended. All materials associated with said investigation are to be classified top secret and returned directly to the office of the DCI. Case closed.
But here's the thing, the case is not closed because right after this they go into a mission taking place in the year 1982. This is the mission where our characters are sent in to assassinate Nicaraguan drug runner known as Jose Luis Menendez, Raul Menendez's father. And this is the only mission throughout Black Ops Declassified that directly ties into the events of Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Raul Menendez ends up escaping, whereas they end up assassinating Jose Luis Menendez, a huge event leading Raul Menendez to take over his father's business. But throughout all of this, it seems very clear that Ryan Jackson actually has our characters' backs, right? He is the one that is going in, analyzing all of the information from all of the cases that they've worked on, and saying that don't worry, these guys are good, case closed, right? Well, let me change your mind on that a little bit. You see, there is a memo written from Ryan Jackson to Richard Kane about our characters, Alex Mason, Gregory Weaver, and Jason Hudson. And this one may sound a little bit different from what he was saying in Black Ops Declassified. It takes place in 1978, and it says this: "We are at an operational crossroads. The evidence amassed to date leads me to no other conclusion other than Agent Alex Mason and his supporters Jason Hudson and Gregory Weaver are clear and present threats to national security. In conjunction with MI6, we have assigned a joint operational team to deal with the problem at hand. With your permission and considering my knowledge of Op 40, its agents, and the personal and professional history of Alex Mason, I request that I be assigned temporary field operation status to the operation team in advisory capacity in order to close this chapter personally. SAS has assigned one Jonathan Blank, we assume this might be actually Jonathan Price, as their lead operator. Though inordinately young for such a role, both MI6 and SAS have assured us that he is a veritable prodigy and will not fail to meet objectives of this mission. I request to accompany Blank and his team to South Africa to see that Agents Mason, Hudson, and Weaver are dealt with permanently." Ryan Jackson wanted to assassinate Alex Mason, Jason Hudson, and Gregory Weaver. Then we fast forward to the year 1989, the Panama invasion, and guess what? There are two people that got assassinated. Both Alex Mason and Jason Hudson were presumably killed in Panama, and the person responsible for analyzing this, going through the details and figuring out why, is Ryan Jackson, the same person that wanted them all killed 11 years earlier. So taking another look at that piece of paper, we see Operation Charybdis taking place in the year 1978. That date is important, as we find out in the mission emergence, specifically looking at the files that are on the case board. Advanced Technologies and Application Division, the one that founded the Cradle virus, super soldier, whatever you want to call it, started out in the year 1976. And as tests got more and more wild, they kind of divided off into the CIA portion and the Pantheon portion. Well, this takes place in 1978, right in the middle of that testing. But oh, it gets so much weirder. So we have Jackson Ryan, we have Richard Kane, and we have Kane Jackson, all of which name-wise is extremely weird. Then we have Ryan Jackson, who wanted to assassinate Alex Mason, who does get assassinated, and then he, by the officer of the Inspector General, gets put on that case. All the while, he created this assassination attempt while Pantheon was being formed, which then successfully got completed. Well, this is where things are about to get even weirder. You see, there is one piece of intel in Call of Duty Black Ops 1 that is from the future, the year 1999, which makes no sense because you find it in the year like 1968, but some of these papers are indeed from the future. Now, when we have a look at this, this is the only memo that isn't written by Ryan Jackson, but rather to Ryan Jackson. Now with a brand new title. Before, he was APLAA. Now, he is DDI. So, I wanted to figure out what this position was, because this actually takes place after Black Ops 6. Turns out, this title doesn't exist. I'm assuming they were going for Deputy Director in Charge, but that's not a position within the CIA. However, if we actually go to the CIA website themselves, DDI is actually a division within the CIA. It's the Directorate for Digital Innovation. This is essentially the real life version of the Advanced Technology and Applications Division within Black Ops 6. This is where they take cutting edge technology, innovate on it, and then use it within the government. No, I am not kidding you. But where this gets even weirder is the fact that when we look at this, it wasn't founded until the year 2015. Black Ops 1 came out in the year 2010, which means they essentially predicted the future, and it appears as though Ryan Jackson may be one of the people in charge of this division within the CIA, and now has analysts reporting to him. So what am I saying here? When we get introduced to that mystery character at the end of Call of Duty Black Ops 6, I'm not saying that this is Ryan Jackson. It may very well be case, it may be Jackson Kane. However, what I am telling you is Ryan Jackson is 100% still in the Black Ops universe, working behind the scenes, planning assassination attempts, and it sounds like everything that he is trying to accomplish, whether that be the Advanced Technologies and Applications Division, whether that be assassinating Alex Mason, he seems to be behind all of it, which may very well mean this whole Pantheon division may be completely under the thumb of Ryan Jackson.
Case closed.